Hey you guys, it's Dani. Welcome back to our deck bonding series. Today, we're doing interviews. So, interviews. What am I talking about? I'm talking about getting to know the voice of your tarot. I know some people had the record scratch right there like, I do not personify my decks. That's dumb. Hey, cool. Nice to know you, friend. However, a voice is still a voice when it comes to energy in a way. And that's what I'm talking about mostly. Every deck has a different story to tell. Every deck has a different energy because they have different artwork. Choices of color and atmosphere all change from deck to deck. So this is a way to get to know this deck on an intimate level, if you will. Right? So how do I do that? First and foremost, deck interview spreads, of course, because that is one of my favorite things to do with a deck is spreads and dialogues. So that's where we'll start with deck interview spreads. From there, another great way to learn the voice of your deck is to do the spreads that maybe come with the deck. Now, not all deck guidebooks have deck-specific spreads. So this may not be useful in some cases that just don't have any spreads with it, right? Well, like my decks don't come with deck-specific spreads. But now I kind of want to create them. Anyway, so some decks won't apply, but with the ones that do, I find it really, really interesting to utilize what the artist or the creator of the deck has put together for that deck. I think it really gives a voice to the creator and how they perceive the deck and how they use it, right? They give it their own specific voice in that form. So I find it always really helpful to do deck-specific interviews or deck-specific spreads. It's really hard to say deck-specific. My mouth doesn't want to do that. Anyway, last, but certainly not least, is a really, really fun exercise that I love doing with new decks, and that's a dialogue. It's like second only to my character development. Again, these are things that I've gotten from acting and my background in, speech and performing arts. Can I speak today? I'm not really sure, but we're really gonna try. Okay. From doing speeches and performing arts, I've learned a lot of acting exercises and character exercises that I also bring to tarot. And one of those things is a dialogue. If I'm talking to this deck, how is it answering me? What am I seeing? What are the questions that I want to ask to get to know this better? As I would a character that I'm about to play, I would sit down with a pen and paper and I would talk to this character and say, what is your favorite color? Right? Like, what is your favorite meal? And I do that a lot with character development when it comes to court cards, but that's for another day. This is solely about the dialogue. I just want to talk to this deck as a whole and see what it has to say and how it answers my questions and how best to utilize it. So, without further ado, this a long-ass introduction, let's start with deck interview spreads. Okay, so I am going to put these right here. That way you can see them. But I picked my favorite two. One that I kind of threw together from the plethora of deck interview spreads that are out there. All of them have 5 basic things. So I just kind of picked those 5 basic things and created this spread. I'm sure there are some that are just like it. There's like 35 different ones. I'll have a slight variation, but here's the one that I came up with. It is super simple. Most of my decks have gone through this interview because it is fun and straight to the point. So we have introduce yourself. What are your strengths? What are your weaknesses? What can I learn from you? And how best to work with you. Super, super simple. You shuffle your cards, you pull out your spread, and you have this conversation with your deck. Due to time restraints, I'm not going to do every single one, so I'm going to show you this one because it's super basic. But my second one that I brought today, I want to do with you guys because it is one of my favorites, especially when it comes to deep diving with a deck. And that is this one. This is from at Owl and Bones Tarot. They're on Instagram. I'm sure they have other things. I'll make sure to link them. If I haven't said already, because I don't remember, but I will write up a little blog post that'll have all this stuff in it. That way it's a quick reference. So I'll have that link down below. But this is Owl and Bones deck interview. I have it over here, so I'm going to be looking. We have owl, bones, vision, wings, feet, talons, and the center, which I don't pay attention to much of those, but I guess it would be in the shape of an owl, right? Anyway, but they have some really great questions, and that's, where does your wisdom lie? What is your inner strength? What might not, I want to get it. What might not you see? What might you not see? What makes you soar? Where do you feel grounded? Where will you dig in? Who are you at your bare bones? Or should I read it like it is? Who are you at your bare bones? So this is a really, really fun spread, and I feel like it takes in a lot into consideration. So we're going to go over to the desk, and we are going to do this interview. That way you can kind of see it in action and see what I mean by like just learning the deck, right? Okay, we are going to do the Owl and Bones interview with Terra Volatile. Now, this deck has a couple of extra cards as well as an extra suit of vessels. And while normally I would not take this out, I would do this with everything together. That way I could learn the new suit. I don't know those things by heart right now. So in order just to do this without the guidebook and just kind of give you an idea of what the interview looks like, I took those cards out. That way we can go with just the basic 78 card deck and go from there. So just FYI, if you see these on the side, that's what those are. This is a fascinating deck that I'm diving into. They do have a guidebook, but it is a PDF online, so it would be hard for me to kind of read and go through those things with you guys just for time's sake. So, okay. So we have the Owl and Bones deck interview. I'm going to set this up here so I can see. We're up higher. That way we can get the full scope of the cards. And we are going to do our interview. Y'all, these shuffle like a dream. This linen finish is everything. Anyway, I'll do a walkthrough of this deck soon. I'm loving it. Anyway, let's get this going. Okay. Now I'm not going to set it up exactly like this because we don't have enough space. That way we can see everything. So I am going to do this. Oh, we'll turn this all around. That way we can see everything really well. We have 3 and 4, 5, probably up here will be better, 6, and then 7 in the center. So look, I'm just going to put my deck back together. So let me double check and make sure we can see. Ooh, okay, so we can even get up close, you guys. We can get up close. So I'm excited. So let's go ahead and dive in. I'm not going to get super deep into all this because it's just to kind of show you guys how this kind of comes out and what I mean by starting this dialogue. So we're going to go bits and pieces of this, right? I would normally sit with this for quite a while. I would read through the guidebook as well. But I just kind of want to show y'all how this kind of comes out and what what it looks like. So let's start here with number 1, because we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. So number 1 is Temperance. Where does your wisdom lie? Big picture is what I'm thinking here. Balance is a big word when it comes to temperance, as well as that moderation. But it's like this side and that. We have like the red and the blue of the wings. We have this kind of balanced stream of water, right? Coming from one to the other. Even her hands are red and blue, or their hands are red and blue. Foot in and out of the water. We're looking at both sides. So this may be a big picture kind of deck, right? Number 2, what is your inner strength? We have the 4 of Cups. So that may be breaking that 4 of Cups energy, right? 4 of Cups are usually disconnected, right? That's usually what I think of when I think of the 4 of Cups. Like, you're disconnected from things. Like, emotionally, it's just not all cohesive. There's that boredom, that apathy that comes with that. And I feel like maybe the inner strength is breaking that. Again, coming back to, which, you know, a lot of times in these deck interviews, I find like this is your main, and things usually kind of harken back to it. So I feel like this is kind of breaking up that emotional disconnect because you're seeing the bigger picture. And whereas in this energy, you might not be seeing the forest for the trees, so to say, right? So let's move on to number 3. What might you not see? We have the Page of Coins. I think of the Page of Coins as like that kid with a pen and paper just asking a crap ton of questions to the point where it gets annoying, right? Like, Page of Coins wants to know. They're trying to get grounded. They're trying to get solid on their feet, right? So I feel like what you might not see, this might, again, going back here, you might be getting bigger picture answers versus those little small questions that will crop up once you start to see everything in big picture form. So they may need a clarifier. This may be a deck that needs clarifiers or more questions to kind of go a bit deeper, because you might just get a big picture surface at first. So that's kind of what I'm seeing here. On to wings. What makes you soar? So we have the 8 of Wands. You know, considering that the 8 of Wands usually is about going up and out. Like, you can see, although these kind of look like they're coming in, which is a little strange for an 8 of Wands, right? Like, they're usually coming up and out, but I guess you could see it in both ways, because immediately I kind of think of, well, what's going on in the future? Maybe downloading here versus going outwards, right? So what makes you soar? Maybe it's thinking about that future, kind of getting that bigger picture idea, again, coming back here, getting that bigger picture idea and really starting to map out your future, taking into consideration where your energy is now and how that's going to benefit going forward, by kind of coming in and planning, right? So, down here, number 5, feet. Where do you feel grounded? We have the Queen of Coins. I feel like it's, where do you feel grounded? It's about finding that nurturing aspect of your readings, right? So when you use this deck, you're gonna get that big picture. You might need some clarity. It's gonna help shake things up, plan for the future, but definitely give you that side that's really nurturing, because that's where it's grounded in. So it's like revealing these things in order to nurture you to where you need to be, right? Versus sometimes there could be a little more stiff getting there. This is about nurturing you to where you need to be, in the grounded. So 6, talons. Where will you dig in? Oh, we have this King of Swords. I mean, that's a place to dig in, right? King of Swords is a really big energy, right? It is very to the point. It wants to get to the bottom of things. It's about action plans. It's about being a little blunt. And sometimes to nurture, you have to kind of get a fire lit under your butt. You know what I mean? So this is going to be where it really digs in. It's about action plans. It's about making an informed decision, using your head above all, you know, to really get to where you need to go. Again, seeing that big picture, planning, breaking through these things, and really going forward. And then we have number 7, which is, who are you at your bare bones? And that is the 7 of Wands. And I feel like this is somebody on your side, right? There to kind of go through it with you. The 7 of Wands can sometimes feel like you're on the higher road. You're kind of winning the battle, right? Somebody on your side. So I feel like regardless, it's one of those decks that has your best interest in mind, right? I know, again, that's such a personification. But what I mean by that is like, it's really going to express itself in a way that you feel supported and you can make better decisions, right? So this is the Owl and Bones deck interview. Of course, you can sit with these, like I said, like I normally do. I'll do my basic reading like this, and then I'll really sit with it. I'll read what the guidebook has to say. What else do I think about this wisdom and temperance, you know, in what the guidebook has to say? How can I add to my own interpretation? And I'll go through each of them and do that as well. So this is something that you can really sink your teeth into and really go really in depth, or as shallow as you want, right? Like this can just be like, okay, cool, that's it. I got what I need to know. So it's a very versatile spread. So it's one of my favorites. Okay, so up next, let's talk about the deck specific spreads. I grabbed a couple of decks that I knew had the spreads that I was talking about. I grabbed an Oracle and 2 Tarot. So let's start with Ghost and Spirit Tarot. This is by Lisa Hunt, who always has some really great spreads, by the way. So you can find sometimes deck specific spreads even in these little white books. Oh, I have my extra card sitting in there. Even in these little white books, they'll have some. So for this one specifically, we have in the back, please do not fall all over the place. Let's not be a mess today. Okay. Not you, me, but have to look at myself to say it. Anyway, right here in the very back, there is one spread. And this is the Realm of Spirits 5-card spread. And I have done this, and I loved it. It is super simple. It's not even a spectacular, like, ghosty spread. It's just a basic spread. But we have, you know, just the bare bones, which is present, past, fears, joys, and future. However, on the side, it kind of goes more into that. So we have the spirit of the present. Where are you right now? What inspires you? What concerns do you have? What, if anything, is missing from your life? Now, that's a lot packed into just one little present card. So the fun thing about this is I went and I pulled a card for every single one of these questions. So while it looks super simple and you can do a basic present, past, fear, joy, future, it's so much more if you go along with what the questions are for each. So the ghost from the past is the second one. So what lurks in your past and haunts you? You can't change the past, but you can free yourself by letting go of it. So you can do what lurks and haunts you, and how do you let go? What frightens you? What are you burying in your subconscious? Whatever you are pushing down can hold you back. Face your fears and confront the dark places. So it really gives you a lot more than what meets the eye. So that's why I always recommend reading through the deck specific spreads, because they can really go deep. And especially with this one, this is such an underrated deck, you guys. I'm like, ugh, love it. Okay, so with simply the King of Cups, right? Each one of these also have their own story within the guidebook. So this is also a chance not only to utilize the deck in a specific way given to you by the creator, but then also get a chance to dive into what that card really is, especially in decks that each card has a specific story. This is something that can really add to when you how do I say this? Because that was stupid. How this can really add to your readings with this deck, because then it's not only just the King of Cups, some emotional stability, but it is also the story of who is on this card and what that means to you. So in tarot, it's all about layers, right? You can go with base meanings. Shoot, you can go with just what's on the card, right? But it's the layer that really gives you the depth and the real meat and potatoes of the reading. You know what I mean? It's about adding those layers. And when you're getting to know a deck, I feel like that's really important. So this is a chance for you to utilize your guidebook if you have one. Utilize the spreads that come with it to really dive deep into what this deck can do. So again, some little one spread can really help you dive into the deck itself. Then you have others, which is, okay, I'm not gonna lie, y'all know this. One of my favorites. Sorry, I had to totally undo this whole wrap because I like to be complicated. The Game of Thrones Tarot. So talking of layers, if you know the show, if you've read the books, that adds layers upon the regular base knowledge. You also see things in the cards that kind of expand on that. But, oh man, this guidebook has some phenomenal spreads. Phenomenal. I love them. They're fun. It's just a way to play at this point. Like sometimes it's not all about seriousness, it's about play. And that's what I love the most about the Game of Thrones spreads that come along with this deck, is because you get some serious ones, right? You have your past, present, future in Game of Thrones terms, right? Dragonglass, Milk of the Poppy, and Valyrian Steel. But then they go through the Red Keep, again a little more serious. You have the old gods of the North, so you kind of go along with kind of traditions of this world. You have the faith of the seven, so the father, the smith, the warrior, the mother, the maiden, the crone, and the stranger. I love this because it feels like my little pagany heart just loves that. But then you have Tyrion's spread, which is I drink and I know things. So it is just so much fun to place this deck into the world, right? And expand on it there and really see your characters and feel the atmosphere of what Game of Thrones brings, and then add that tarot to it. And then this is the last one, which is the spread of the Maesters, which is a really, really good spread because it has so much. So it goes through astronomy, construction, history, ravenry, economics, smithing, healing, warcraft, magic, and astrology. And this is about the chains of the Maesters. So even each spread in here kind of talks about kind of where it's from and why it is. So if you really want to dive into a deck like this, doing these spreads really opens up that world. It puts you in there. It shifts your mindset as to like not only this mundane world, but the world of Game of Thrones. It puts you on that map. It puts you in that state of mind and creates that atmosphere for you. And I really think that it's beneficial to really listen to the voice of your deck in that way, where it's like, oh, this is where it's from, right? And that this is obviously very specific because it is from a show and books and stuff. So there is a lot of lore that goes along with it. But even something as simple as, a regular RWS, depending upon the art, it can take you in that same direction, right? So last but certainly not least on this part, we have the Wild Unknown archetype deck. So, of course, you can pull a card. Now, I've altered mine. I wrote all the keywords, as well as some key phrases all around, thanks to our Tammy Pie. Anyway, I feel like I talked about that on here, or maybe it was through Fat Readers. But anyway, I did write everything around it. But this is a deck that you can pull out and you can just use as is, right? But the guidebook and the guide-specific spreads really expands on what Kim Kranz really had in mind for this deck and how to utilize the deck to its full potential, right? And then you can add your own stuff on. Like, this is not the end all be all. I hope y'all know that. Like, do your thing. But this is just some of the tools that I use. So she has a whole section on using the cards where she gives you a bunch of different ideas, single card draws, some 3-card spreads where you can do like the crown, the heart, the root. But this is one of my favorites, and that's the inner quest. So you put it into the different sections that this deck has. I always forget them. Hold on. We have the selves, so things like the mother, the father, the starborn. The places, like the heart, the cave, the river. Tools, flame, tear, riddle, vow. And then the initiations, which are like a gape and apocalypsis, gnosis, things like that. So you kind of put them into those 4 piles, and then you pull who, where, with what, and why. And so you get a full scope. Really fun in past life spreads. I often use these in past lives. I don't always separate them and use them in that kind of way. Sometimes I will pull that as like a main place to start. So it could be a place, or it could be a tool that has to do with the past life that we're tapping into. So you can do it, like, again, any way you want. But this, I just find it so great to explore this deck and see how these things can be used, and then kind of creating your own way from there, which is again why I feel like doing deck specific spreads can really open up a lot of doors to what you can do in your practice and with each and every deck, because they're all so different. So again, we have the Axis Mundi, which is another really great spread, the Heroine's Journey, and then she talks about card rotations. So this guidebook really has a lot of great ways to work with this deck. But again, if you choose to just pull it out and do your own thing, you can do that too. But for me, it's like a Shrek thing. It's all about layers. Maybe not onions. I don't like onions. Maybe I'm with Donkey with that. Good parfait. Anyway, so lastly, let's go into tarot dialogue. Let's go ahead and we'll continue to use Terra Volatile deck, because I am doing a deep dive and we've already done our deck interview. So let's go ahead and ask some questions now that we've done that, and kind of expand on what this deck has to tell us, and then we'll wrap up from there. All right, you guys, tarot dialogues. So this can look very different depending upon what you want to do. You know, you can use this method in regular readings. You can use it for speaking to your deck. You can use it for just about anything, right? It's very simple. It's like, either have your question ready, your initial question, pull a card, get that answer, ask another question based on that, and kind of build from there. Or you can shuffle until a card falls out, with the intention of, what do I need to know? What do you want to talk about, right? Again, kind of doing that personification, like, what does this deck want to speak about to me right now? Like I said, specific questions, let it kind of ride. Any different topic that you want. For me and for this, let's just go ahead and see. We'll start with maybe what kind of work? Oh, okay. Well, never mind. I was going to say, what kind of work should I use you for? Like shadow work or inner child work, or, blocks or stuff like that. But this one wouldn't go back in, so we're going to start from here. So this seems like to also answer that question, right? So what kind of stuff do I do with this deck? We have the Magician. This is something that's going to give me all the tools I need. So maybe this is going to be for a plethora of readings, right? I can use this to look into everything that I need. But I love how the eyes are also on fire. That's where that spark is. So again, that makes me think of the future. So I feel like any kind of questions, anything that I need that is maybe looking towards the future, this deck would be perfect for. Okay, so what kind of tone should I expect? King of Wands, something incredibly passionate, something that's really going to give me some fiery answers, something that makes me want to act and to move, something creative, something that wants to get me going, okay? So, in terms of that, is this a good thing to use for creative projects? We have the Moon. So yes, I feel like this is a yes, because this is a revealing of mysteries. Something that may help me get in tune with something that I didn't realize was like bugging me in the back of my mind, or something that may be revealed to me by using this deck. It may spark these inner ideas. So in another space, okay, let's go something new. What is it that I need to know right now about this deck? Six of Coins. So this may be a deck of generosity, something that I might feel like I can help a lot of different people with. I love that. Should I use this for client readings? We have the Three of Swords. So this may be best using for some serious clients, somebody that may have a lot of past trauma, right? Somebody that really needs to heal and see the truth. Again, hearkening back to the Owl and Bones, maybe someone who needs a bigger picture, right? Because there may be some sort of emotional damage, some sort of mental damage, something that is a little bit heavier. Would you recommend for all clients? We have the King of Coins. So maybe? I'm going to clarify that, because this is like, okay, well, maybe someone who is prepared and ready to hear those things. Let's kind of clarify. Ace of Swords. So maybe someone who is grounded enough and ready to hear the truth, right? Ready to really dig in. So maybe this deck isn't great for people who are new or they're vulnerable. This is for someone who's maybe had some past trauma and is ready to really be stable about it and really do something about it. Okay, so in ending, what do you have to say to me? We have the Five of Wands, almost said Swords. The Five of Wands, conflict. I feel like maybe when I feel conflicted, this is where to go. Absolutely. With the Ace of Cups, this is how to fill your cup back up. Whenever there's a conflict, come to this deck in order to fill yourself back up. Closing. This may be best used, again, when there is conflict, when there is something that you need to look over your shoulder about. This is usually the best place to go. Get yourself all grounded, stable, looking towards that future, getting that contentment. So as you can see, it's just kind of talking about almost like building your questions. That's kind of the dialogue that I'm talking about. Now, again, this is very base level. This is just, giving examples of where you can take it. You can, like I said, go on a theme. I like doing this when I'm having a conversation with a client or someone that I'm giving a reading to, one of my friends, where it's like, well, let's just pull cards as we go. Like, what's your main question? Okay, here we go. And then, okay, so this is what this is. Well, what about this? Okay, well, that, and kind of just go through one card at a time. So it's really good to get to know your deck, ask these kind of questions, see how it reads, see how you interpret the cards and how you interpret the art, what you see in the art, and kind of, again, just building your skills with this deck so that you can utilize it in whatever way you want to. Thanks so much for watching, you guys. I hope that you enjoyed this next installment in our deck bonding series. Let us know in the comments below, how do you use deck interviews? Do you use them? What are your favorites? I would love to know. Also, let's talk about this on Instagram. I'm going to post something on there probably the same day that I post this video. Let's talk about it. Tag me over there at the Dani Mystic. We want to see it all. I want to see your favorite spreads. So let's start this conversation and help each other find some really cool things to do when it comes to bonding with our decks. So until next time, I'm sending you all my love. If you're looking for me, again, all those links are going to be down below, including my Instagram, my Etsy shop, how to book a reading, 3 Fat Readers, all the things, as usual, are going to be all down below. So we'll talk soon, and happy bonding. Mwah! Later, Gators.